Welcome back to Living Local. Not many can say they wrote a film that grossed over $300 million, starring Emily Blunt and that dude from The Office, but our next guest can. He's one half of the duo behind A Quiet Place, the iconic cult classic Haunt, and the upcoming 65 starring Adam Driver, and his name is Scott Beck, and he is with me now. Dude, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for bringing me in.
So cool, so cool. So along with your creative partner Brian Woods, you created A Quiet Place. Now that success had to open up so many doors, and I gotta what is one of the wow moments from that crazy success story?
That's a great question. I mean, that movie did open a lot of doors, and I think from a personal standpoint, it was really bringing my family and friends to Manhattan, getting to go to the premiere, and getting to sit with the audience and experiencing it together. But I mean, it's been insane of getting meetings, talking about crazy franchises that I grew up watching as a kid, and having the potential to work on those, and meeting one of our cinematic heroes. Brian and I grew up watching Paul Thomas Anderson movies like Boogie Nights and Magnolia. And he hosted a party for A Quiet Place during awards contention, and we got to go up and talk to him and tell him, his films directly inspired us to write a silent film. So it was really a fun experience.
That is bonkers to me. And the fact that I know you is so cool. But while A Quiet Place was in production, you were working on Haunt, which is a film that you wrote and directed with Brian. And that has kind of taken on a whole cult classic following, and the love is really cool. But what's it been like to watch that popularity grow over time?
It's wild, because Haunt was a horror movie that was an ode to Halloween in a John Carpenter, Tobe Hooper style, and it was something that we did on an independent level, and we just never really knew how is this going to be received. You never know when you make a movie, and so a few years later, it's still cycling through people's Halloween lists. That feels really incredible. So
that's so cool. That's so cool. And Justin Markson's there on the screen. We had him on last week, and I'll tell you, he scares me now to be alone with him. I know that's obviously not him, and Savannah won't even watch the film now because of that, because she's like, Justin's here a lot. But you're releasing a book of journals and the script for Haunt in a special edition right here. Tell us all about this, sir.
Yeah. So this book, it's called Haunt: The Screenplay and Filmmaker Diaries. Cool. And what it is, it's over 65 pages of filmmaker journals that we kept during the making of Haunt, and releasing A Quiet Place. And so it gets really personal. I mean, as anybody in the arts field knows, it gets really, there's a lot of highs, a lot of lows, and so it really kind of creates a story and narrative of going through all of that.
I'm thrilled that you did this, because I know that you journal about everything.
Yeah, we try to,
So this is so cool that you're doing this. And the proceeds are going to St. Jude, and that's so noble of you guys. Why did you and Brian decide to do that?
It's just, from a standpoint, this is a book that was a labor of love for us, and so just getting it out there is the most important thing to us. And then just anybody has their lives afflicted by somebody they know or somebody they love that has cancer. And so for us, that felt like something that we can just be able to contribute and put this book out.
So cool. And how can viewers pre-order their copy?
So it's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble for pre-order. It'll come out December 6th.
Oh, that's so great. All right, so you've made so many waves in Hollywood and created some riveting moments in cinema, but it all began right here in the Quad Cities, and you recently moved back here.
Yes, I did.
And I have to know, what was your reasoning behind moving back to the Quad Cities and basing your career out of here?
Right now it feels like the art landscape can really be transient, in that you don't always have to be in a major hub of New York and Los Angeles. And for me, Brian and I grew up making movies around the Quad Cities, for years and years, and it was a community that gave us so much, and so we just love it with all our hearts and want to come back and be able to keep making art here locally. So.
I love that, dude. It's so crazy to me. The first time I saw A Quiet Place in the theaters, when your name popped up, I was like, that's so cool. I took a picture of it, and I was like, that's so awesome. It's just so wild, and you're so down to earth, and nobody, if they were out with you, would know that you wrote one of the most popular horror movies in history. It's so cool. I can't imagine waking up and being like, my name is Scott Beck.
It feels pretty normal.
Cool, man. That's so cool. Well, Scott, thanks so much for coming, man. This
awesome.
is so
Thank you,
rad
Tristan.
to have you here. And for more information, you can visit for the Haunt and Screenplay Filmmaker Diaries. Please find the official Beck and Woods accounts on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or visit beckwoods.com. We'll have all those details posted on ourquadcities.com.